I think the master Aetherius once said explicitly that 1,000 years ago, which isn't very long in time, meditation was the order of the day, but no longer. And that change, that great change, is being masterminded, let's say, obviously primarily by the Lord Babaji, who is the spiritual and political head of the spiritual hierarchy on earth, but also must be prominently masterminded as well by the Lord Buddha, the Kumara of Shamballa. And I think we need to think that there must be a number of ascended masters, male and female, who attained their ascension through that traditional route, which was the order of the day, and rightly so then. And maybe in those days it was necessary to speed up the process because the world was so desperate that it was necessary to get human beings, terrestrial people, through ascension as soon as possible so that they could take their place as a part of the hierarchy, as an ascended master, and help to carry the light.
Fascinating. Now,
in today's world, and I would say thanks very largely to Dr. George King and King Yoga, we have missions. We have Operation Sunbeam, we have Operation Space Power, we have Operation Prayer Power, and many other missions and many teachings which are readily available. And we can start, through those missions especially, to some degree to help to carry that light. And so the emphasis is completely different. And it was known that it would be. And when the Lord Buddha came to earth in 1956, it was known that it would be. But I think we need to think also what it must be like for an ascended master. We can't conceive of that because they're so way ahead of us, and we should never talk glibly about them. Without them, we wouldn't last for more than a few minutes. Our civilization would collapse. So it's in that context we should always regard them and revere them. Many of them must have achieved ascension through that traditional route, the meditative route, the introspective route. And so for them, they are having to introduce a new approach and influence a new approach and direct a new approach in a whole multitude of ways of service as the first priority, because it wouldn't be possible now to gain ascension the way they did it, some of them. And this is an interesting thing, and in that they're led, as I say, above all else by the Lord Babaji, Saturnian being, who, as far as we're concerned, knows everything there is to know. Mm-hmm. But also by the Lord Buddha.
If you kind of expand on a day-to-day basis for the viewer, how they can actually use meditation in combination with service.
Well, there is a point I'd like to make, and I've been fortunate and privileged to be in the Aetherius Society for a long time and as secretary of the European headquarters for decades actually, and I've seen a lot of people, and I take various decisions in their lives, some really, really good, and sometimes they've taken a step back from the spiritual path. And I've always felt that, and this could happen to any of us, I think we all need to be, if you like, on our guard, it's when they lose contact with that light. So although service is the priority and the essential way to go, and you can't actually attain the highest states without practicing service in these days, despite that, we also need to keep that light burning, that inner flame burning, or we'll lose track of why we're serving, and we can get lost. And maybe that's another reason in these days for the Buddhic influence being essential at this time.